Hi everyone, my name is Oksana Horlock. I'm a software developer based in Oxfordshire, United Kingdom, and today I'm going to tell you about my experience with CDK as a cloud newbie. So before my AWS journey, which started exactly 1 year and 1 month ago, my interactions with infrastructure were limited to logging on to the remote server that was hosted in a traditional data center, copying files onto it, occasionally checking errors, but that's it really. So when I started a new job at the beginning of the first lockdown last year, I was really excited because I knew I'd be working with AWS. However, I felt a bit overwhelmed because there are a lot of Amazon Web Services that exist, and some of them, like IAM, consist of a lot of different concepts that are easy to get wrong, and it's important to get right. Well, at work, we use Terraform, and while I was really keen to learn how to define infrastructure as code, as an AWS beginner user, I found HashiCorp configuration language a bit hard to understand and write. So while I was attending one of the AWS online events last year, I attended a talk about the Cloud Development Kit. I found it really intriguing and interesting and decided to explore it in my free time and use it to get myself up to speed with AWS. While I did use the console as well to learn about AWS offerings, I purposefully decided to use CDK more because infrastructure as code is definitely the way forward, and that's what we use at work. So why should an AWS newbie explore CDK? Firstly, CDK uses familiar programming languages. So if you're a developer and you're looking to learn more about AWS, chances are CDK exists in a language that you use or in a language that's similar to the language you use on a daily basis. It really eases the learning curve because you don't need to focus on the language you don't know. Instead, you just focus on the infrastructure you want to create. Secondly, while using CDK, you can see how resources are connected without having to jump in between different services or screens in the console. And if you want to create multiple resources, you can do it all in your code editor. So for example, if you want to create a Fargate service and then you want to explore what VPC configuration is created and what role with what permissions are created, you can explore the CDK-generated CloudFormation templates. CDK is also great in that it provides a really good authoring experience and your usual tools that you use in your daily job facilitate learning. So thanks to the IntelliSense built into your IDE, you can learn about different resources, services, their methods and properties. Another reason why CDK is great is that it allows you to learn about best practices in AWS because CDK constructs provide sensible defaults. For example, instead of granting a Lambda function full access to a DynamoDB table in the grant read write data method, the actions are limited to a few. CDK patterns created by Matt Coulter and the team can enable an AWS newbie to discover common serverless infrastructure patterns in AWS. And because they implement principles of well-architected framework, they can really assist newbies in seeing these principles in practice. This might not be a plus for everyone, but it certainly was for me. Some labs and documentation are great in that if there's something missing or if there are issues or bugs, it makes you investigate workarounds and learn even more about AWS services. For example, while experimenting with CDK pipelines, I discovered that I cannot create a pipeline that uses a GitHub repo called main without explicitly stating the branch name because the default is still master. Also, if you create a code stack connection via CDK and deploy it, the status of the connection is pending and you need to change it manually in the console. I come from a .NET programming background, and I discovered that there are many more examples in TypeScript or Python. So when there is a CDK stack or construct example in a language that you're not used to working with, while it might not be very hard to convert it into the language that you work with, it accelerates learning because it's not giving to you on a plate, and you learn better and you remember things better by doing. Another thing is that with CDK, it's really easy to delete resources by running CDK destroy command to ensure that you don't incur charges when experimenting. I think it's really important for a cloud newbie. And it really saves time because you don't have to go from one service into another in the console and look for the resources that you need to delete. I haven't met any CDK aficionados in person yet, but I feel that the community is really amazing. It's really friendly to newcomers, regardless of their level of knowledge of AWS or programming, and the community members are always ready to lend a helping hand. How has CDK helped me personally? Well, I definitely feel more confident getting involved in AWS discussions at work. One of our teams does use CDK, and a work colleague who does use it, who I've spoken to, really enjoys using it. He finds it really easy to work with, and he says that it's great to create infrastructure programmatically. I think there is also an interest to explore other infrastructure code tools, and I think that CDK, especially CDK for Terraform, will probably be quite high on the preference list. I have recently passed an AWS Developer Associate exam, and CDK helped me in that I was able to explore CloudFormation templates and generated by it, and in this way learn about CloudFormation syntax. And CDK pipelines, tutorials and examples were of great assistance in understanding AWS CI/CD tools better. Getting into public speaking was something that I had wanted to do for a while, and I think that I was so impressed and inspired by the AWS Cloud Development Kit that I really wanted to share how great it was. So first I did a presentation at work about CDK, and then at a couple of meetup events. And in this way, I was finally able to give back to the tech community from which I've learned, and I'm still learning a lot. As I mentioned, CDK community is very friendly to newcomers regardless of their level of AWS proficiency. So I think that's what encouraged me to start contributing to CDK. There are also some very helpful posts and a video by Adam Ruka about contributing to CDK. And yes, I found it really amazing that I was able to make a contribution, even with not so much AWS experience. Here are the resources that I found really useful on my AWS CDK journey that I would recommend. And I still have a lot to learn about AWS and CDK. But looking at where I was at the beginning of last year and where I am now, I feel that I have made quite a big leap in terms of my professional and personal development, thanks not only to the opportunities to have practical AWS experience at work and support of my colleagues in the very unsettling times of the pandemic, but also to the CDK. I'm very excited to continue to explore it and to be a part of such a supportive community. And I would strongly encourage AWS beginners who are like me, coming from the developer background and are looking to get themselves up to speed with AWS, to check out the CDK. Thank you very much.